Good morning, Unisa community. Good morning, students. My name is Doza Zulu from the Student Retention Unit, and we are responsible for the first day experience in the institution. What that means is that we implement, we send different resources and provide different resources to first year students in order to successfully complete their first year. And the purpose of this workshop today is to give you tools and ideas on how you can manage your finances as a Unisa student. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm just quickly going to go through the house rules. I'm going to share them with you. I'm just going to share my screen quickly so that you see them. The house rules. Okay, so fellow students, just take note that your microphone is off as well as your camera. And I just would like you to ask you that you become respectful in your comments, be it that you want to comment. And then also, please note that don't share your personal information in the chats because we want to adhere to the POPI Act, and it's also a safe precaution for you. And then if you don't see the video or the audio, just rejoin the link that we have provided, and then I'm sure it's going to work. It might be a network issue, whatever issue that is happening, but just rejoin because on our side, we've checked everything and it's working. And then there's going to be a question and answer session at the end of the discussion. You're welcome to pose your questions then. Just know that the recording will be will also going to be sent out to you. Okay. Those were the house rules. And just lastly, we're going to be saving a survey also after the workshop and to give us feedback how we experienced it. Thank you. Just going to start now. Okay. So joining me today in this discussion is to provide you with a financial literacy, my three colleagues, as well as I believe there are other colleagues from the same department who are at the background. They might be assisting with the questions, but yes, so my three colleagues will be doing the presentations today. We have Mr. Gerhard Grebe, and we also have Mrs. Zakia Yusuf, as well as Mr. Kabelo Dijenga. So I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Gerhard, who's going to be presenting our first presentation. Gerhard, may you please take the floor? Thank you. You can start.
Like I've been introduced, my name is Dr. Grebe, and I'm working within the Department of Finance, Risk Management and Banking. And I'm going to do a short, very elementary presentation on budgeting. And the focus will be from a student's perspective, just basic guidelines to you, what you can adopt in your personal finances, how you can improve it and manage it. And I hope you find it insightful. So I'm just gonna share my screen now, and then we'll continue with the presentation. Look at just some background information from this year. Now, a research institution called Nielsen IQ has published a latest consumer outlook report this year, which revealed that 41% of South African consumers feel that they're in a worse financial position than a year ago. And that should be a red light for us all. Basically, as you know, we all experience the high inflation rates. Products are becoming more expensive. You look at fuel prices. We look at daily goods we buy from grocery stores. Everything is increasing at a rapid rate at which currently we cannot even control, or we're struggling to keep abreast of what's going on in the economy. So that just highlights the importance of setting a personal budget for your personal household goods, and if you are married or not married yet, to communicate with your spouse that you have a proper action plan going forward for the months ahead, planning so that you feel financially stable and that you feel in control. Just something interesting also, you'll see that South African consumers are increasingly worried about the product prices of groceries and household items. Now, this was a study done, and 48% of the respondents reported that they are really becoming stressed about the economic conditions in South Africa. Now, this is not just in South Africa, it's obviously a worldwide problem, but I won't go into more detail today. So if we think about a budget, what is a budget? Now, it's in simple terms, it's just a personal household budget. Is an estimate of your income, what you receive every month, and then what are you planning to spend each month. And so it's basically just an action plan to keep your finances in control. And typically, a budget will be from 1 month to the next. So we'll plan on a monthly basis, but it can also be on a weekly basis. It just depends on the frequency of your buying behavior and what your personal goals is at the end of the day. But for all basic terms for today, I will focus on a monthly cash budget. So why is budgeting important? Well, like I said from the previous slides, it helps you create financial stability. Now, if I think about financial stability, if we talk about that, it basically gives you that peace of mind that you are in control of your finances. And that's what you want to accomplish. You want to feel that you are managing your money in a way that you can save each month and that you are able to buy the items you would like, whether it's groceries, clothing, whether you need to pay rent, but that you have enough finances to meet all your financial obligations. So you are tracking your expenses and you're following this plan. And very important from a budget, it will not only, in a budget, you should always make it a priority to build in an emergency fund, because we all get caught up in emergencies where you will need additional funds to meet these obligations. So you must set up a budget in such a way that each month you put aside, it can be a small amount of money or a large amount of money, but that you have basically the purpose is to put away a specific amount of your salary each month that will go into this emergency fund. And hopefully you won't need it every month, but that you know it is there, that when an emergency comes around, you are able to take that finances and then pay for the expenditure that will come. Okay, so basically also it puts an individual, the importance of the budget, it puts an individual or consumer in a firmer financial footing for day-to-day expenditures or even over a long period of time. So this is just some few advantages that I think is important from budgeting. And we look at these four, very important. If you stick to your budget, it will keep you from overspending. And as you get older, I know the majority of the attendees that we are presenting today are still very far from retirement. But I'm highlighting this point number 2 because the moment you start earning money, you should make it a priority to start saving for retirement. You shouldn't think that it's only something you should think when you are getting close to retirement or over 30 or 40 or 50, as it may be, the faster you start setting aside money or becoming in that discipline to start saving for retirement, the better financial position you will be when you reach that retirement age. And because obviously we are all should have the goal to be financially free. The moment you stop earning money, that when you receive your monthly pension, that will be more than enough for you to make a living and do all those things you'd like to do when you do not need to work anymore. So point number 3, I've already touched on. It helps you prepare for emergencies. That emergency fund is non-negotiable and it's very, very important. And interestingly, number 4, I've highlighted here, as you can see that I said here, it helps you review your spending habits. And as you do your budget from one month to the next, and you've done it over, let's say, a 6-month period, you will be able to analyze your spending habits, and that will make you able to analyze which habits are not so good for your financial well-being. Where can I've wasted some money, maybe buying too many coffees that I could actually just make from home, or not planning my trips where I spend too much on the rising fuel prices. Maybe I could look at my expenditures on petrol, and maybe work out a plan where we can drive together as friends and help us save over the long term. So let's just go back to advantage number 1, very important, overspending. Specifically from a South African perspective, too many consumers are spending money they don't have. And I want to make it a very important point today that majority of us do owe credit cards, but it's not a good thing. A credit card is just a liability. So if you don't need a credit card, I know let me put it this way. We all need credit cards for those unexpected expenses, but you should not make it a habit to swipe your card at every grocery store or every shopping store that you feel you need something. Your credit card should be managed in a very responsible manner, and that you should specifically use your credit or credit card only for those emergencies that you do not have the funds available for at the point in time. And very important then, if you incur debt, you should make it a priority to pay off that debt as soon as possible. So very important, keep your credit card amount very low. The banks make a majority of their money from debt, from us consumers taking out loans. And remember that the interest rate on credit cards are extremely high. So that is the worst case for you to lose money, is to keep that credit card liability as high as possible. The best would be to pay off that credit card, to make sure that you're not paying amount of unexpected or unnecessary interest expense. Basically, that's all that I wanted to say on that slide. Advantage number 2, retirement planning. As I said, it's important to build the regular saving and investment contributions into your budget. And the sooner you start with this, the sooner you develop that discipline in your budget, the better you will be as you become closer to retirement. And that's very, very important. I've stressed this in the previous slides, emergencies. So life is full of unexpected surprises. The day you lose your job, or you face an unexpected repair on your home or your motor car, if you become sick, or you unfortunately have to divorce, those circumstances can lead to severe financial turmoil. where you will definitely need additional funds to meet all your financial obligations. So that's why you must make sure that you put aside money and get that emergency fund as high as possible. And just a rule of thumb, I've included this, an emergency fund should consist of at least 3 to 6 months of your worth of living expenses. So if you know that your living expenses is 10,000 Rand a month, you should aim to get that emergency fund between 30,000 Rand and 60,000 Rand to help you when those unexpected emergencies arise. Point number 4, your spending habits. So the great advantage from a budget is it will enable you to examine your spending habits closely. When you're reviewing your expenses, you may notice you're spending money on things you don't need, such as your cable TV subscription. And very important, budgeting allows you to rethink your spending habits and refocus on your financial goals. If you see that you're overspending target amounts set in your budget for such discretionary items, you then have the flexibility to adjust how much money you want to commit to luxury items or non-essential spending in lieu of, for example, saving up for a new motor car or making improvements to the kitchen in your home. So this is just a basic example of a married couple, Mandla and Vuyelwa, and we're looking just at their monthly income here. As you can see, Mandla earns 18,000 Rand a month, and Vuyelwa 15,000. And combined their income, we get to 33,000 Rand per month. Now, if we look at their monthly expenses, this is individually based, and this is just for demonstrating purposes. They have a bond to have to pay, they have groceries each month, they have a car repayment, they have telephonic expenses, they pay for DSTV, the petrol is a large part of their budget. They have insurance. If they have kids, there's school fees and transportation fees they need to pay, and very important, pay off their credit cards, and then there's additional debt they're paying off, and then built into this budget, there's a specific amount that goes to retirement savings. So if you can see here, they are very close to their monthly income, 32,330. If you go to the previous slide, they earned 33,000 Rand. So in my opinion, this is not ideal. Their monthly payments should be less. They should aim to save more money, specifically for that emergencies. As you can see in this example, there's no specific emergency fund that they budget for, but they should clearly examine what's going on in their expenses and try and reduce it so that they will make open up the opportunity to save additional money into the emergency fund. So this is just a example of how a budget can also be compiled. As you can see on the right-hand side, we have all the income, which is just a salary, and then this individual has some rental income that they earn every month. And then here is a summarization of their expenditures, and this enables them to analyze it very closely. You can really go through it in your own time for saving some time. But the point I want to make here is then again, you can see that the expenses are more than theirs. Is basically the same as all the expenses. So there's no surplus, and that's a major red flag. This should never be the case. you should always aim to set your budget so that you have at least 20% of, I know that's that's very optimistic, but between 10 and 20% of your total income should be saved to enable you to retire in a financial free way, which you don't have any stress coming from your finances. Now, as the previous two slides was just a budget over a monthly basis, and the point from this slide I just want to highlight from you is how it will look if you budget for, let's say, a 3-month period. And what I want to highlight here is this is ideal what an individual should aim for in terms of building a nest egg or compiling a budget and carefully scrutinizing or analyzing your spending behavior so that you will be able to increase the balance at the end of each month slowly but surely. And if you can do that, that's wonderful, because that will put you in a stronger financial position. As you can see, from August, September, and October, the individual, the income remains the same. It's every month is 8,000 rand per month that is earned. But the cash outflows are managed in such a manner that it remains more or less the same. But because the individual saves each month, you can see here from August, the amount of money that was saved was 1,500 rand. And that gets carried over to the next month. As you can see, the 1,500 rand at the end of August becomes popped into the beginning balance of September. And because the individual saves another 800 rand from September, that 800 rand plus that 1,500 rand from the previous month's savings enables this individual to increase his ending balance to 2,300 rand. And this accumulates to October. As you can see, additional 1,200 rand is saved, and that gives an ending balance of 3,500 rand. So what I want to do from this slide is just to emphasize that by being very strict on your budgeting over a 3-month period, this individual saved an additional 2,000 rand from 1,500 ending balance to 2,000 rand. And if you stick to that discipline over multiple months and multiple years, you are going to grow your wealth and be able to save up for additional asset or save up for something you want to buy or for retirement. So I'm going to end off the last two slides just from basic tips from my side, and I hope you can incorporate it into your daily lives as young adults or students, and I'll run through them quickly. So the first one is set your goals, your financial goals, prioritize what's important and stick to them. Very important is this financial discipline. And then tip number 2 is focus on your savings. Find ways to increase the savings. And then to help you with your discipline, only withdraw enough money each week. So if you know you're going to need 2,000 rand a week to pay all your expenses, draw that money at the beginning on Monday morning, and that you know this is the only money you have for the weekend. You must have the discipline to stick to your expenses. Tip number 4, reduce smoking and drinking. Keep that only for festive occasions because it costs a lot of money. Tip number 5, share your responsibilities, your financial responsibilities between your family, you and your spouse, or if it's a larger family, have communication and see where you can help on each other out. Maybe another tip would be, if you are a large family, you can purchase your groceries in bulk from Makro, and then distribute it among family members. In such a way, you will also save some money. Tip number 6, make it a priority to pay off that credit cards as soon as possible. It's not a status symbol. It will only make you poor. And then, very important, keep track of your receipts and your track your spending behavior. Like I said, have that discipline. At the end of a month, you can throw away that receipts, but make sure that you keep your receipts and work through them on a monthly basis. And that just continues with tip number 8, to look at your banking statement and to see, study your banking statement to see where did you spend money each month. And very important, don't spend money you do not have. This is so important. Don't be just impulsive buyer. Think before you buy, and ask yourself the question whether what you are planning to buy, is it really necessary, or are you just buying it for the sake of it's making you feeling good on a short-term basis. But have the discipline to ask yourself these important questions. And like many things in life, never compete with another individual. Stick to your own financial plan. Have the discipline to stick to your plan that you know you can afford, and don't try and compete with neighbors or friends just for the sake of competing. It's not worth it. Then, very important is just a few other advice points I have, or my 10 cents is just make it a priority to become financially literate. Do a basic course in finance. Read a lot. Read the daily mails in the newspapers, and understand how debits and credits work, but and income and expenditure works, and how does the tax rates work. It's very important. So my advice is, if you are a financial management student, yes, do that finance on first and second and third year. The more knowledge you'll have, the better you'll be equipped to make financial sound decisions. Like I said, minimize debt, start saving and investing on a very young age. The sooner you do it, the better. Keep track of your spending habits. I've emphasized this point. Start an emergency fund. Protect your wealth as you get older. Start working. It's very important. Well, it's actually non-negotiable. You'll have to take out insurance, whether on your vehicle or on your house, but you'll have to protect your assets, and this also costs money. So you will need to save for those monthly contributions to the insurance companies. But that's important to protect yourself and protect your wealth. Point number 7 is a very important point for me. As a young individual, this won't be so important for you at this point in time, or you feel that it's something that you don't feel is applicable to today. But my advice to you would be to focus on your health. Stay healthy, have healthy eating habits. If you can, make it a priority to exercise, because a healthy mind, a healthy body leads to a healthy mind, and that will help you to make sound decisions on a daily basis. And also, if you are healthy, you won't need to go to the doctor. Your medical bills will be a lot lower, and you will be able to be an asset in your community. You'll be able to help others, and you'll be able to be active in your work and contribute to society. So if you are healthy, you will have less debt, you'll feel better, you'll have less expenses, and you'll be able to make more money and make a contribution to greater society. So that's something you should really take to heart. And finally, as as you become employed, and you start working and earning a salary, my advice would be to partner with a financial planner or financial specialist as soon as possible, so that they can set up a plan for you, that you can start saving towards your retirement. Yes, so that's basically my 10 cents for the day. I hope you found it applicable and useful in your daily lives, and I hope you felt well, got some value from it today, and thank you for your time. I wish you well. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gepe. Um, thank you so much for sharing the advice to the young adults. It's really, I feel like it's applicable in all ages. But there's something that I was wondering about as you're giving us advice. How do you know if there's such a thing? How do you know that your budget is actually correct according to the amount of money that you are getting? It's something that I was thinking about as you were presenting. How do you know that actually this budget is fit for me? Is it something that you need to reflect on yourself? Yeah, it's something that I was wondering about.
Thank you for your question. That's a very interesting question, and I think it's very applicable to today. And it's a difficult question to answer, but my perspective is as you change as an individual, as you go into a different age in your life, and your priorities changes, and your financial obligations becomes more as well, because you are becoming a provider. So, but hopefully your salary will also increase over time. So my advice to you is just to keep track of what you are spending, and you should try and create financial stability in terms of, if you are able still to save money each month and grow that nest egg of yours, to feel that you are in control, and over a period it grows substantially or slowly, but let's say 2,000 rand a month to 3,000 rand a month, and there's no big volatilities changing, then I think you are managing your monthly expenditures in a responsible manner. So the purpose is, if you can save over a yearly period and you can increase that savings per year, that then my advice to you would be that then you are in control. That's something you should aim for.
Oh, okay. So you're saying that you should aim to control your finances, then you know that your budget is actually in the right track. Because now I'm imagining a situation whereby I'm a student and I get a monthly allowance or a semester, an allowance in a semester. So even if I save 50 rand or 100 rand, it makes an impact eventually if it's saved over a year.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
But yes, a lot of students, specifically if they're young, they know, I'm getting 2,000 rand a month. So when they come to day 27 of the month, they still have 500 rand left. Then they say, oh, wow, I've got 500 rand left.
Yeah.
Let's go party it out, or let's buy this. let me. They just then the last day of the month, they will spend that entire 500 rand, where they could have said, okay, well, great, well done. I'm going to take 100 rand, do with it whatever I'd like, and I'm going to have the financial discipline to put that 400 rand away for savings.
Yeah.
So if we can get into that discipline to save some of our money each month, then you are working towards becoming financially free.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Dr. Grepe. And now we're going to have our second presenter, Mrs. Zakia Yusuf, who's going to be talking about personal financial management. Dr. Grebe, if you can just maybe switch off your camera, and then after Mr. Dijenga, we're going to have a question and answer session. I was just taking advantage as the program director. So, Mrs. Yusuf, you can go. Take the floor, please. Thank you.
Yes, I see we have a few minutes to noon. Good morning.
Morning. Yes, you can take the floor. Please share the presentation.
The presentation, I'll go and try to share it. Let me know when it appears on your side. I'm Kabelo Dijenga, small intro there. I'm Kabelo Dijenga, a lecturer in the Department of Finance, Banking and Risk, and financial advisor and financial planner at the same time. Please let me know when you see the presentation appearing on your site. It's not appearing on my site. I'm only seeing a budget here. I'm not sure why the budget is showing. But on a quick note, as we're discussing a budget, I've attached a sample budget there. It's a good tool that I've attached that also goes through budget and help us with budget. If you're able to see, are you able guys to see the budget? Or?
You mean your screen? I think Ms. Zakia must first unshare because we can see that she's trying to do something, but we can't see your screen. Mrs. Yusuf, please unshare, and so that Kabelo can share his presentation. Okay, I think it's going to work now. Yeah, okay, Kabelo, try sharing.
Okay, I'll try sharing. Sharing now.
Okay, nothing on my side. I think it's still coming, still loading. Okay, perfect. Yes, you can go through.
Oh, you asked for videos before we do.
Yes, want to see you.
Yeah.
Here you are. Okay, go for it. Thank you.
Greetings to you. Greetings to the students, both employed and those who are still studying and looking for hopes to be employed. Greetings to you. Financial planning, it's what I will be tackling today. Finance is a very critical component of everyone's life. Finance, especially at the personal level, finance are very personal. They affect health. They affect relationships. They affect employment. They are just one component in our life that affects everything about us. And it is very important that we do what we call a financial plan. And a financial planning, it's a critical thing because even when we build a house, we don't just start buying material and everything and say, let's build, we'll see how this house will turn out. We normally sit down and say we need to plan, to have a detailed plan about this before we can even commit. Because the plan will tell us, is this yard enough for what we intend to build and what we need to do in order for us to start the process of building or to start the process of this project. And should we realize that certain things needs to change, the location, the soil is not good enough for the house that you intend to build, then we try to find other places. In financial planning, I normally tell people that then we go and find other employment or we find extra income. Why? Because the plan that we are trying to achieve cannot be achieved with what we already have. So in financial planning, I said it's personal. That means that it's unique to everyone. You and the person next to you have different needs. You don't have the same needs. So when we discuss financial planning, it's a plan that incorporates you, where you are in life, and how we intend to grow in the future. So our journeys are different, and so will be our plans, and so will be our financial plan. That's why I tell people, most of the clients that they meet me say, when we sit down, you become an individual and you come because you need a set or somebody who is rational in your finances, because finances are personal If you're doing your own finances, you are bound to be conflicted. You are bound to be somebody who becomes emotional about how they spend their money, or becomes emotional because you say, I've worked for this money, I know how to, and you find that in the end of the day, you end up not achieving those plans that you have because one, you did not have a proper financial planning in place to say that we have the resources for the plans that we have. Are these plans rational? They can be idealistic, but are they rational? I met a very recent client who has not started on retirement now, doing any retirement, and he was like, "No, I want to retire at 50." And you get shocked, you sit back and you say, okay, but now we need to sit down and say that is a goal. But we need to build a plan to say how do we achieve that goal. And that plan need to be rational, need to be something tangible. Unless you are planning that you bet on lottery all this time, and you might end up retiring at that age, which is now something of statistical probabilities, and we know how that is. So when you do a financial planner, it's more like achievable goals that are rational and they are thought through. So I'll go through this, but before I start, the interesting thing I would like to add on budget. I've shared a budget on the side. I don't know if you'll be able to see and even share with the student. It's a nice budgeting tool. So in budget, we've got what we call the 50. I'll be very brief. We call it the 50, 30, and 20 rule. Are you able to see my screen, or you're still on the slides? You can't see the budget, right? So I'll just touch three things in budget, just adding on the Dr. Harold. Number one is that you pay yourself first. That's the number one rule in a budget. So as income comes in, you pay yourself. How do you pay yourself? It's your savings. You take money into your savings or your investments. Those ones are non-negotiable. It's 20% and it's done first before anything else. So now we've got what we call the 50, 30, and 20 rule. 50%, 30%, 20% rule. So 50% goes to your needs. So the critical things about budget, which is part and parcel of financial planning, is that we have needs, we've got wants. And 50% of our income needs to go and cater for needs. Our needs must always be just half, not more than half of our income. Then you've got 30%, which are wants, which are things that you can go without, but you choose to have them. Like you want to have them, but you can go without. The premium package in the DSTV, those are things that you don't need them, but you choose to have them. So those are your wants, and then 20% goes to your savings. So as the money comes in, income comes in, first thing, savings money must be sent out. And now be specific why we do this, because even if you say, no, but I've got debts and so forth, all the debts and that you have, be it bond, be it car, be it, can always be renegotiated. Your savings and investments, you are the ultimate decision there. You cannot renegotiate. You're just cheating yourself if you say, but this month I won't save, I won't. No, savings starts first. This month, if I cannot meet the car payment, I negotiate the car payment to say, guys, I cannot make the car payment. Let's renegotiate the terms of the car payment. So that's the golden rule about how you build wealth in financial planning. So let me go back to financial planning there. Now, in financial planning, we've got two things in financial planning. We've got wealth protection, because when we talk about your estate or we're talking about your wealth, it's got two critical things. One side is protection and one side is creation. You need them. They are not a choice. They are not mutually exclusive things. You need both of them. And I'll explain why. You can go the route of creating wealth. All the money you have, you want to invest, you want to grow, you want to, I'm investing in a house, I'm investing in stock exchange, I'm investing, and the money is growing, the value is growing. But you don't have protection for that growth. You are struck by sickness. What happens? You need to take out of that money that you planned, you're investing, you're creating wealth on, you need to pay medical bills. You are struck by sickness, or you are struck by disability. Again, I'm sorry about that. You need to go back to that money you've created. So it's more like you are creating, and should something happen in your life, you're now going backwards. So there's no trajectory of growth. And the only way to build a trajectory of growth is that once I create 1 rand, I now have protection for 1 rand. Should something happen to me, protection takes care of those unfortunate events. And what is protection? Protection comes as a form of insurance, comes as a form of assurance, comes as a form of also what we call policies. A lot of people like to give them policies, but they are all capsuled under just insurance. Be it short-term, be it long-term, that's your protection. Now, as a student, we talk about wealth creation, and you should have this knowledge as you are embarking into adulthood. For those who are still young, Unisa it surprises you. Unisa has a different array of students, but those who are already employed, we are reminding you of these fundamentals. So now I'm going to discuss the part of wealth protection and what wealth protection is to us and you. Wealth protection it's to protect the wealth you already have. And I like to put it this way: your greatest wealth first, it's your health. Because no matter how much money you have, if you don't have health, there's no enjoyment of that. But we first try to protect your well-being, protect your health. So there are arrays of things that we can do to do protection. Sorry, let me just move a little bit. I'm not sure if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but I'm thinking you are on what is wealth protection.
Yes.
You're there. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're protecting yourself, your family, and your assets. So first yourself, yourself as a human being, because the greatest asset you have, it's you. You're the greatest asset. You're the one that's going to create wealth. If you are gone, then there's no wealth. There's no wealth creation. If you're gone, then there's no generation of future income. You are the asset, the biggest asset you have, that's you. So you need to be protected. You need to be insured. And you find this very funny. People are willing, and this is, it's a funny and reality. People are willing to insure a car that's worth 500,000. Let me put in 500,000. They insure it, paying about 2,000 rand for a car. And they forget to insure the most important asset that will be in that car, should something happen to that car. So you find people where this asset, the most valuable one, is not insured, but this one that's replaceable, the one that is not generating future, depreciates for all it means, it's fully insured. But important asset not insured is an asset that can always be replaced, like it's a replaceable asset. It's insured. So we insure because we assume we might get in an accident, we might lose. That's the whole idea of having an insurance or protection. It's you guard yourself against an known and unknown event that might happen. So, example of a car. I might get in a car accident. Okay, fine. I'm in a car accident, but the car will be replaced. What about the driver, myself? What will I be assisted with should I be in a car accident? That's where protection comes in place to say, do I have adequate protection? And this is where I stress it. I say, you need a planner because in most cases, people miss these small things, but they are very important things because most of the decisions are emotional and not rational. When you meet a planner, the planner is not very vested in personality. It's vested in the plan that you wish to achieve and the rationality of us achieving that plan with you. So that's where protection comes in. There are certain things that we know are going to happen. We know that I like the saying that there are two certainty in life. One is paying taxes. The second one is death. Death happens. We know it is coming any day, anytime. It could happen. It's an event that we know could happen. But we protect ourselves against that. Even as a student, we need to understand that as a student, how do I plan to protect myself against injuries, against death, anything that can happen to the mortal body? How do I protect that? And we look at the assets. You are given a laptop, you are given what we call a computer, you're given, the small assets that you have. If you're to lose a TV, if you have protection, you just get a claim and it's replaced. You don't have to go to your savings or to your income to go and buy a new TV. If you protect your assets, your laptop and all those, we call them all risk insurance. Should something happen, you claim, you don't have to use your savings now to replace a stolen laptop or to replace accidentally damaged laptop. That's where insurance protection comes in. You pay a little fee every month for the protection of your assets. I've discussed that we can protect assets ourselves, and we can now protect our future earnings. Going to be employed, something can happen. Anything can happen. We've got what we call income protection for the future earnings. If you're disabled, you can no longer work. You still need to pay expenses. You're still living. Worst part, if you've got dependents, your children will still look at you and say, we are hungry. They won't say you are now in a wheelchair, you cannot provide, or they can't understand that. And you yourself, it's your obligation to provide. Even for your own personal needs, everyone has this thing we have that we want to be self-sustained. It's a reality. Everyone loves self-sustaining. We don't want to be a burden unto others. We don't want to be a burden unto our children, a burden unto our loved ones. We always want to be self-sustained. So this is where we say future earnings. Should something happen, I cannot do business anymore, I cannot do employment anymore, what do I have to protect my future earnings? And this is where now your disabilities, your dread disease, your income protection for retrenchments, they come in. Those are protecting you for the future. So I understand that the program is really for a student, but I always say prepare them from when they leave the system, or prepare them even now, because knowledge is worthwhile when it can be shared. So a student may hear this, sit down with their parents, sit down with their partner, sit down with their immediate friends and say, this is what I've learned about how we do financial planning. How do we understand the needs, the wants? How do we do the budget? How do we do this whole program's essence? It's very much important for us to share it at the student level and also for them to have it at a practical level. Now, it would be nice if it was interactive so that I'll give them a live explanation of how they protect those risks. So we've got what we call wealth protection strategies. So now with these strategies, it's tools that we use. I've already touched a number of them in the explanation, so I'll rush through them one line. And should you need any further, I can leave my number and my details, and you can get hold of me. I'm relatively an easy person to get hold of. So in wealth protection strategies, we've got what we call risk management. Risk is a protection against possible losses. Some are not certain, the only thing certain I explained is death. But now we've got dread disease, sugar diabetes. When we talk dread disease, we talk about sugar diabetes, we talk about heart attacks, cancer, all this that can limit your mobility or limit your quality of life, sicknesses. So all this are at risk. You are at risk of getting them. And now we need to do a risk management for you in the long run. Those are mortal body risk management. Then we've got your possessions. When you do risk management for your possession, these are the unknown. We don't anticipate them. They can happen anytime. They are unknown, whether they will happen or not happen. Let me make an example. Your car or your laptop. You can have a laptop and it works for the next 20 years. It doesn't give you a problem. You can have a car that works, for 30 years, no accidents, no claim, no accident, no thefts, nothing. Like you maintain it, it's carrying you for the next 30 years. And there's nothing wrong with it, but you had insurance on it. So people tend to not understand the essence of a risk. Risk, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. Some years, death, it will happen. But in short term, like our assets and so forth, it's not guaranteed to happen. But we still protect ourselves because should it happen, you have protection. So there's a nice saying that I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. That's the worst thing. So should you rather have your disability and you do not get disabled than be disabled and find out you have no cover for that disability? I think that's the wisest way. So we've got life cover, we've got dread disease, we've got what you call impairment, then we've got short-term insurance. Now, short-term, I've explained, is all about our assets. All things that we can quantify their value, we put them under short-term insurance. Our houses, our cars, our laptop, our cell phones, all these things, we put them under short-term insurance. It's also a protection that we have. Then we've got the other most important component that we will have, which also is a protection, and that is a will. So a will protects our assets in our absence. So normally I say, you know what? A will is your ability to speak beyond your grave, your ability to guide beyond your grave. So when we die, we cease. But when they say will, you know how the assets will be distributed or how they will be utilized in the future. You guard against a lot of uncertainty. So you create a path, and in most cases, you ensure, especially when you've got young children. When you've got young children, it's very important that you and they are dependent on you. It's very important that you do have a will, because in the absence of the will, we say your assets or everything that we have, it falls under what we call in estate. And when you have children that are minor, normally you find all these assets are going to be under the what we call the ownership of a guardian, whoever is the guardian of those children. And you have no control how this guardian is going to look after the child. Worst off, they can even go to the government's guardians fund. And it's even not so good place to have your assets staying, and you don't know how actually is it going to cater for your children. So a will is another thing to protect. You protect it, you protect your wealth and ensure that your future generation is protected. A will, you can even state in your will, you want a trust to be formed, you want this and this. A will, it's a nice way to have a nice synergy between your life and your passing on. So that there's no big disruption. Yes, we'll lose you physically, but at least you'll be still able to make impactful thing on the future. So let me just jump to now the second component. Remember, I said wealth has two things: we protect and we create. Now we're gonna jump into how do we create wealth. Now that we understand we need to protect, we go to create. Now let's jump to how do we create. To create is to increase your asset. And when you increase your assets are income generating tools that you have. Be it could be a house, be it could be a machinery. It could be also cash and money that you have. But all this accumulation is called asset. So when we create this value of asset, we are actually generating what we call wealth. We are creating wealth. Wealth is normally a very tricky thing because wealth doesn't come overnight. To create wealth doesn't really come overnight, especially when you talk about sustainable wealth, rational wealth, wealth that is not from lottery. I tell people to say, no, there's something I can invest in. It will triple my money within 3 months or in 2 months. And say, guys, that is as simple as going to a casino and go play there. Yes, there's a lot of people who have made lots of money in casino, but you understand the probability there. You understand the component of probability, the sustainability of that way of creating wealth. The same as someone can say, no, but you say I can be a millionaire in 6 years' time if I do this. But I can bet lotto and be a millionaire within a night. I say, yeah, that is true. But we are talking about sustainable and a rational way of building wealth. And with methods that are tried and tested that are very much practical and rational. That is the difference between the two. Now, a reason why we want to accumulate wealth, it could be buy more assets. Asset could be in the financial market, you want to invest in equity, you want more equity, you want a lot of different things that we classify them asset. Your cars, your houses, a lot, your even retirement, what you put up for retirement, it's asset there. You want to provide a better service delivery to community. This is normally if you have a family. So it could not be a community, could be your family. Maybe you want to provide for your family, for your immediate future. You want to be the provider for them. You don't want your children to, in most cases we say we don't want them to go through what we went through. We want them to have a better future, better opportunities than we did. And that is actually what we normally aspire to. So that would be the need why we create wealth and then provide resources for future generation, make sure that they don't need anything. They don't need to worry about school fees. They don't need to worry about university. Their focus it's simply on living life as joyful as they want to. Provide quality education, ensuring that you have enough money to retire comfortably. It's another way because the stats will say only 6% of South Africans retire comfortably. And you say comfortably, they are able to meet their normal lifestyle now. So why I'm telling you, you might be a student, 18-year-old, you are going to retire one day, you need to plan your retirement. And the sooner you start with your retirement, the better. Retirement, you can start at 200 rand every month, you can start at 300 rand every month. And the sooner, the more you accumulate. We've got what we call time value of money. For those who did finance will understand it. More time, it's actually good for creation of wealth. because of compounding interest that happens over more time. So I'll make an example. You start at 18 years, you're saving towards retirement, 200 Rand. And at about, you start at 18, I'm looking for 20 years. Let me say at 28, it's 10 years. Now, maybe at 38, 20 years, you stop contribution. Like I've stopped. That money stays in the preservation. You just contributed 20 years and you are paying 200 Rand every month. Someone, your twin, let me say you got a twin. Your twin was not contributing at 18. He started to contribute at 38. And you guys are planning at 68, you're going to pension. And he is contributing, you're contributing, let me say, 200 Rand. He's contributing 2,000 Rand. Do you know that by the time you reach retirement, you will have the same amount of retirement amount for both of you? You roughly have the same amount, but you were contributing 200 Rand, he was contributing 2,000 Rand. Yours grows because there's more time. You contributed the first 20 years, and the next 20 years, lump sum was stuck in the system, creating more and more money. Whereas you were not paying more money, but then that lump sum that we were creating is busy compounding itself. And while he had no lump sum, he was starting, your twin had no lump sum, he was starting there at about 38, he's got another 20 years. So your money is invested for 40 years as 200 Rand. And he comes with 2,000 Rand for 20 years. Do you understand? So now the sooner you start, no matter how little you start with retirement, it's always better on yourself and creating wealth for your retirement. We do health planning. You can also create wealth in health planning. And I think I explained this. Your health is your most important assets that you have, or wealth that you have. So quality of life, ensure that you've got a good quality of life. And quality of life, the biggest thing that threatens our life, it's stress. And the biggest thing that people say it's the number one contributor to stress is finance, is financial planning. So when we deal with your financial planning and it's so good and you understand, okay, this is my income, I did my budget, I stick to my budget and I stick to my goals and so forth. I've got a financial plan I meet every year and we sit down and say, okay, what happened this year? How can we improve next year? And go through all those things. You eliminate that stress because you know that should anything happen to you, you are protected first, and you are continue to generate wealth on the other side, and you are within the trajectory. And should something unexpected happen, you have protection against it. You know, there's nothing that unexpectedly can come up, and we seek not to have protection, because when we sit down, we look at your own personal life and say, what are your immediate responsibilities? Your parents, are they there? Are they dependent on you? How do we protect you against something happens to your parents? We sit down, and that whole protection, it's what gives you what we call peace of mind at night. You sleep peacefully, knowing should anything happen, you are fully protected. I hope I'm clear. Now, creation of wealth could be investment. You can put money in investment. And normally you find high wealthy people, they have a team of planners in place or a team of financial advisors in place. Why? Because as much as we want to say it's our money, money is just a resource. You want somebody to be able, who's professionally trained and is very much rational about decision making. You want them to administer that resource and create more assets out of that resource. So in most cases, we find that we've got this high-end people having this investment advisor service. Normally, we even have a whole firm advising them into their investments and how do we invest this money, which project should we invest in, and a lot of things. But now at a small age as you are, there's nothing wrong with you being a student, you partner with a financial advisor at your age. I say, financial advisor, a financial planner, I am starting out. I need a plan in place. So let's structure a plan, because the idea is to grow with you. They will grow with you, because you might not be working now, but they share with you tools to say, okay, fine. Once you start working, this is how we calculate your budget. You can earn 5,000 rand and live comfortably because you've got plan in place for that 5,000 rand. Sorry about that. So because of having a nice financial planner with you, no matter how much you're going to earn, you'll be able to have somebody help you manage that and help you grow that. Then we look at, we have looked at the state. So when we create wealth, we look at your estate planning. Estate planning is all your assets and your liabilities, everything about you. And we're looking at the point where you pass on, how do you plan this estate? And a will is a very important tool there. We look at the accounting. And accounting, I'll just mix it with the tax services that we need to look at. We need to look at how you're using the maximum savings that you can have with tax. So we'll say, but you are paying more tax, and this amount can be reduced by getting rebates, by taking maybe a retirement annuity. And in case of in an effort to minimize your tax, you are supposed to pay tax. Let me make an example. Every month 2,000. But if we were to take a retirement annuity of 500, now you are getting a reduction, and that retirement annuity, it's a savings to you. A tax is not a savings to you; it's an expense. Yeah, it's a savings to you because you're sponsoring government, but it doesn't come back to you as a tangible asset, like you having a retirement annuity. When you retire, you get money back. So we can also create wealth out of tax. Reducing your tax liability will create wealth for you. And retirement planning, I think I've covered this in detail. No matter how young you are, the sooner the better. The sooner you start it, the better. You'll thank me later. You'll be like, wow, I didn't know that 200 rand a month can be this powerful in your retirement time. And I think I'll say, on a positive note, make the rest of your life the best of your life. Because from today, you know better and you can improve. You've had the information. You've got. I think they will share with you should you need to contact us. We are more than willing to assist you any further. I think I end here. I can take on a question.
Okay. Hi, Kabel. Yes, I like that. Make the rest of your life the best of your life. Wow, that is very nice. So from my side, I'm gonna take this advantage and ask a question. So as you were presenting, I actually wanted to find out if I am the most valuable as asset, right? So I'm trying to actually navigate in my mind and understand if I'm the most valuable asset as a student, then how do I actually create wealth or protect my wealth? I don't know if you've actually explained this. You did touch on a few examples, but as an asset as a student, how do I protect and also create my wealth?
Now, that's an excellent one. As a student needs, I like this, that saying, and I think I saw it. Sorry, I won't know how to quote, but I just saw it yesterday at the graduation wall. It says, education is meant to turn mirrors into windows. So the more education you get, the more you no longer see yourself, you see outside, you see the future, you see, So for a student, I'm saying the creation of wealth for you, it's your ability to earn income in the future. Increase that ability. How do you increase it? I invest more on myself. I invest more on my knowledge. I invest more on my skills. I invest more on income generation abilities. That's the creation of wealth. But remember, I said, as much as you're going to increase that, you need to protect it as well.
Yes.
You protect your health. There's a lot of medical aids now for students, medical aids that help students. There's life covers for students, and we must remember, not all our students are just 18-year-olds. We've got an array of students. Some they have children, some they've got people that are dependent on them, that they take care of them while working part-time. So we need to ensure that they also understand how to protect themselves in the future, or even currently, to protect themselves, their interests, to say that we are not all guaranteed to live long. So life cover is much cheaper, especially when you're young, than a funeral cover. And a funeral cover just pays for your funeral expenses. But what if you've got dependents? What if you've got people who are relying on you, people who are relying on your future to protect, to provide for them? So it's never wrong for as a student get a life cover in place, and a life cover shows discipline. When you grow, let me say you are a student, you're in your 20s, you take a life cover. The time you apply for a bond, you're already seen as the most responsible person in the financial industry, like in your own personal financing. Like at your age, you understood the risk. You understand. To a bank, you become somebody at the bank told themselves like that, you are very responsible. We can afford to give you minus what rates. Why? Because you show that responsibility. You show that you understand planning of life, planning on your finances. I hope I answered you.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Hope not stress.
No. No, not at all. It's actually quite eye-opening, to say, okay, so as a student, this is how I protect myself and create the world. So you don't look at the now, you actually look at the future as well. That is actually makes a lot of sense. So, okay, let me check if there's a question for us. Okay, I think there's a comment from Nas. She says, I'd rather have it and don't need it then need it and don't have it. Excellent advice and very beneficial presentation, Mr. Dijenga. Thank you so much. I think
Thank you,
that's
colleagues. But I can take questions if there's something directly from colleagues who are here. They can ask questions, because I think they will be beneficial when you are posting this, so that you'd find that people always have questions. And if we don't ask, then we are unable to assist. But please, guys, if you have a question, don't be shy. You can pop question while I'm still here. And maybe maybe you've got a case you want us to discuss. We can discuss a case, and then unless if I'm. Oh yeah, it's okay. Through you, Chair.
No, it's fine. I was gonna pick off on Umpile because I think he's been here since the beginning. Pile, do you have a question for us, for Mr. Dijenga? Do you have a question? You can unmute your mic if you have something that you want to ask. And he also said he's a financial planner, so he's a jack of all trades. Mpila, do you have a question for us? Or am I putting you on the spot?
I don't think jack of all trades, but we try to take what we teach and we apply it. So I'm both in the industry as well as in the academic. So it's both sided. So not jack of all trades, but things that you do not understand, I go and consult and I come back. But in most cases, I see Umpila is typing something. Maybe the question will come in as a message. She's typing something, or he's typing something. They most probably will get it there. But colleagues, in the absence of any questions, Chair, Madam Chair.
Okay, I think then we can move. Please don't leave as yet, because after Mr. Kia, then I think maybe our colleagues will have more questions. Sorry, colleagues, I think we've gone beyond our time, but this is a very, very valuable actually engagement. So I think it's warranted. Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
it does.
Yeah. But okay, so Umpile is okay, yeah. There's a question from Umpile. So Umpile says, for someone who gets a SASSA disability grant monthly and earns 2,080, and there are instances whereby I want to save up 1,000 rand every month, but often used for unforeseen circumstances. What can I do in terms of saving while in such a position?
Okay. Thank you, Pierre, for your question. So remember I said it's not necessarily about the amount you earn. So someone might look at it and say, wow, it's just 2,800 rand. I learned this over the years. My father is a very elderly man. He's been very in what you call any patient, like not disability. What do you call it? After 65. Yeah, I think it's old age patient. And I was shocked this other day. He says, no, you need to come help me with SARS. They are giving me a problem. I say, why are they giving you a problem? You in pension day. Why would there be a problem there with SARS? Only to find out that the old man only uses less than 20% of the SASA he's getting. And over the years, he's built a capital out of that. And I was shocked. And it's like, wow. So what I want to tell Mpili, it's not about how much you earn now. It's about, remember when I spoke about the mirror and the window. So the mirror, you are seeing yourself. You are not able to see beyond yourself. So once we give you knowledge, and this is what I'm going to give you now, they say, yes, you earn a disability grant, but you are now in a class. That means there's no disability now. You are able to increase your knowledge. So you might be confounded physically, but mentally you are not. A lot of opportunities now, you can do them wherever you are. You can do a lot of skills that are soft skills that do not need physical movement, that do not need physical engagement, that you can work on a laptop. It's skills that you learn to create more wealth. But now your question was that you'd want to save half of what you earn, because when you say 1,000 rand, that's half of what you earn. The question is that how now are you budgeting the other half? And this is where your budget needs to be as like this. I'm going to share now. Can I share a budget, madam? And this part that I want to share of the budget.
Yeah, we can see. Yes, we can see.
Yeah. So this is the golden rule. 50% must go to your needs, no matter the income. So on the 2,800 or 2,800, I don't see the question. Firstly,
yes, yeah,
you need to know
the
first rule is that, the first rule is that 20% of that amount need to be saved. So in a 2,000, we say 400 rand must be saved, must go to savings. Whether things go bad, what, that must go to your savings. That's you paying yourself, or that's you building your savings. Then 50%, which is 1,000 rand in that 2,000, should be going to your needs, cover your needs. And this is where you look and say, okay, I need this, I need toiletry, I need this and this and this. And then 30% could cover your wants. So this is an ideal, we apply this rule in what we call an ideal setting of a budget. So we cannot, when you start, because you are at the point where you say, I want to have 50% as savings. I would say, savings, we need discipline, and they need consistency. Let's start small, save 20%. And we sit down and say, okay, fine, I've saved 20%. I understand the other 50 to 30% needs that I have. I've reduced the cost of my needs. So now we are not going to increase, because my needs 50% is now at 40. I take that 10% that I've saved there and put on savings. And that creates a pattern discipline. then that discipline is how you build it over time. Because when you start fast, it's like going to the gym. You cannot first day want to pump everything. You know, tomorrow you wake up aching, you might even be demoralized because you'll be like, but I was sweating a lot yesterday. And you look in the mirror and nothing happened. But with time, you are able to build that consistency. In time, you are able to build the discipline, and that wealth creation can happen. Because wealth creation, the other thing about it, it needs continuity, it needs a long-term trajectory, continuity, commitment to that plan. But the number one thing I would say, let's not look at how much you earn now. Let's start looking at how do we grow that. Yes, that's how much we have now, but how do we grow it? While on the strategy of growing it, the other thing is to say, how do we save? How do we protect? So it was something like a grant, and she says it's disability. I don't know if this is temporary or it's a permanent disability, but we'll say that if it's in a permanent disability, then that income we are guaranteed it. So it won't be the same as someone who's saying I'm earning as an employment this. But if it's totally for permanent disability, then we know when you sit with me, I won't say let's protect this amount because that amount is already protected. You're going to be earning that amount until the future, like way into the future. So what we could do is to work on a budget. We sit down on a budget, but my number one thing would be you're already in a classroom. Let's try to create skills. Let's try to get you employed. Let's try to get you start your own business because it doesn't have to always be employment. Let's getting you into. There's a lot of activities that are happening nowadays that are online. If you're able to attend a session like this, you're able to read, you're able to write, you can do product marketing, you can do product rewriting, you can do editing skills. A lot of skills are there that are needed that requires just people to have the skills and the skills that they can learn and apply them.
I hope, Mpile, we've answered your question to your satisfaction. I think Mr. Tujenga raised a lot of things. So thank you so much, Mr. Tujenga. And now we're going to move on to, you want to say one last thing? Or
No, I was saying thank you for hosting us. We are always welcome. You are always welcome to call us. We are a department that's always available, especially when it comes to financial literacy, how we share financial literacy. I think you have joined us in Devon before.
yes.
We are accessible to the student, we are accessible to the community at large. Should they need to contact us, please don't mind, we give you authority. Please share as much information, our emails you have, our phone numbers you have. We belong to a university that says it's community based. So we really believe in making a difference in the community, and we are open. We are accessible. When we say open, we don't just say it lightly. We're an open distance education. We are an accessible institution. Utilize us. Don't be shy to contact us. Contact us whenever you need us. Memtogozo will share our details. And guys, please, thank you again. And thank you to your team, wonderful team, for inviting us, and hopefully work again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think this is a start. We're going to have a series of these, and I think it's very, very helpful for our students. I'm just going to invite on stage Ms. Zakia. Just want to indicate she's going to be talking about personal financial management. Ms. Zakia, are you ready for us? I have a presentation. If maybe you are still struggling, I could control it on my side and then you can speak. It's up to you.
I think it'll be good now. The load shedding's over, so let's hope for the best.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay, you can take the floor. Please, Anshe Kabelo, you can proceed. Thank you so much.
Okay, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Zakia Yusuf. I'm from the Department of Finance, Risk Management and Banking at Unisa. I've been here for the past 9 years. And I hope I can share some life skills with the students. The earlier we start, the better. This type of knowledge is not usually passed down, So the quicker you get all of it, the better you can plan for your future. So today I'm going to be discussing debt and debt management. As Dr. Griebe was talking to us about taking out credit cards and being in debt. The first thing I want to discuss is it possible for a person to live without debt? In today's economy, in all likelihood, there'll be a time where we run into a situation where we'll need a credit, but there's good and bad reasons for taking out debt, and you can also make debt work for you. Okay, so basically the next question I'm sure you guys have is how can debt be good and what are good reasons for incurring debt? So if you are in the future, if you're just starting off your career, in the future you'd eventually and I'd encourage you to purchase your own home instead of renting. So these are things you start thinking about now. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's a process. So a good reason would be buying an affordable house, right? Why a house? A house increases, it's an asset, it increases your wealth. The house or property prices are always increasing. It's a good place to put your money. Secondly, you won't be paying rent for the rest of your life. At the end of the day, it pays itself off, right? Another good reason is buying a really good bargain, right? But there's a way to assess. I'm sure, like now Black Friday, when you see, we see these specials we run, just see the word sale, and we think we should purchase that product. But there's a way to assess it. Will the reduction in the price of the product exceed the interest you'll have to pay if you took it out on credit? Some people, they go to the Black Friday sales and they buy things on their credit card. Eventually, by the time you're paying it off, you end up paying more than the original price of the product. So it's really not worth your while. So all these kind of decisions is something to think about. Okay. So an example is the price of a product is reduced from 1,300 to 1,000 rand. And if you borrow 1,000 rand at 15% interest per year, you will repay 1,083 rand over 12 months. So in this case, it would be worth purchasing the product because that 1,083 rand is still less than the 1,300 of what the original price of the product was, right? So that's a good reason to something you need. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, another a good reason for taking out debt is to earn an income. So in this day and age and in our economy where there's hardly any jobs, we would want to keep improving ourselves. Learning is a lifelong process. You're never ever quite done, So especially those that are at Unisa, you invested in yourself and it will pay itself off in the long term. You get a better job, hopefully, right? So incurring debt to earn an income, such as for studies, or if you need a car to get to work, or if you're starting a business and you need machinery to manufacture something which will generate an income. These are good reasons for taking out debt. So basically what we're trying to say is make the banks work for you and not you work for the banks, So so how do we go about starting our journey with debt? So repay your debt on time. That's what help you build a good credit record. Creditors will then be more inclined to grant you more credit if and when you need it. Okay, so as a student, and just don't advise taking out credit or taking out a store card and so on and so forth. But you need to know how to make the system work for you. So like if you were going to buy something cash anyway, you can use your store card, right? Buy that thing that you have money for and repay at the same time. In that way, you have a credit record where creditors and banks know that you will pay back. You know what I'm saying? This will in the future help you get better interest rates So you make the system work for you. So that's what I'd advise. Get a store card, but not to use it for money if you don't have the money to buy something or to buy luxury items. You're just using it to build your credit record. Okay, and try not to incur debt for any other reasons than these. Otherwise, you might be one of those people whose possessions are sold. Okay, so what we if you find yourself in debt, what can you do, right? If you're already in that situation. So in this example, there's someone who has a home loan. They have vehicle finance. They have a credit card, and they have a personal loan. Okay, all of these are over different time frames. Obviously, a home loan is over 20 years or so. Vehicle is about 5 years. Credit card is continuous, and a personal loan, right? And the interest rates differ. So how do we consolidate this debt and move forward, to get out of it? So firstly, you'd like to eliminate the debt with the highest interest rate. So we focus on our credit card, and then we move forward to eliminate the rest of the debt, right? So you can take an advance on your home loan for the balance, because the home loan has the lowest interest rate, and use the access to settle and close the vehicle finance, credit card, and personal loan. After consolidation, you will have a single loan of 790,000. Installment would be 7,110 per month, excluding fees, charges, and insurance. Your monthly cash flow would be 1,260 Rand, or a saving of 15,200 per annum. What is the risk? Okay, so despite the material interest savings per month, the fact that you're paying 3,500 less each month, instead of repaying your debt over a shorter time period, you're now extending the debt of up to 20 years. So how can you prevent this? You must pay as much as the extra 3,500 into your bond every month as soon as you can afford to. So basically, when you take out a home loan, what the banks won't tell you is that the first couple of years of your repayment, you're only repaying the interest. You're not repaying the capital.
Ms. Zakia, I think she is gone. But maybe we could. I'm gonna try to get hold of her. But maybe in the meantime, if colleagues have questions, you're more than welcome to post them in the chat, or you can raise your hand and pose a question. Thank you. I'm assuming it's the network. Or maybe colleagues from the same department, if you have any additional comments or anything that you want to say, you're more than welcome at this stage. Or maybe I should pick on someone. No, I won't do that, but can I just ask that if you have any additional comments to make, you're more than welcome. Okay, colleagues, in the absence of no comments and Ms. Zakia maybe trying to connect, Nas, can I give you the stage, because I know that you're going to another engagement at 1. Are you ready to do the closing for us, because you're way past our time? Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. Good afternoon, colleagues, and good afternoon, dear students. As I reflect on today's workshop and in keeping up with today's theme, one of Benjamin Franklin's quotes comes to mind. And the quote goes somehow as follows: an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And how befitting is that quote for today? With that being said, thank you to the organizing committee, Ms. Ntokozo from the Student Retention Unit, for putting together this workshop. Special thanks to our technical team, Godfrey and Mr. Tao. Of course, the workshop could not be a success if it was not for our esteemed presenters. Dr. Grebe, thank you for demonstrating the importance of personal budgeting and planning. The practical examples, as well as the advice for young adults, was well received. Mr. Cabello de Jenga, thank you for stressing the importance of financial planning as a critical component in our lives. Planning is indeed the most powerful exercise that will benefit and protect us. In addition, thank you for sharing the 50, 30, and 20 rule, as well as the budgeting calculator, which is very useful indeed. Ms. Zakia Yusuf, from what I heard in your presentation thus far, the information on debt and debt management was insightful. In addition, the life skills and life lessons shared was useful as we learn how to make debt work for us. To our colleagues, thank you so much. I myself have learned a wealth of knowledge for today. To our beloved students, thank you for your participation and time. I trust that the valuable information and skills shared today will not only be beneficial in your studies, but in your day-to-day life and activities as well. In closing, I would like us to ponder on this. Financial literacy does not only involve the ability to count money, but it also tests our ability to evaluate the cost and benefit of every decision and action that we take in life. On that note, we wish you everything of the best. And most importantly, I wish you health, because your health is indeed your wealth. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, dear students.